It,
Good afternoon.
it's Friday, and it is Friday grief chat time, and it's time to talk all the grief and all the loss and all the humor and all the grace with
Oh
Jill
my
and
God. Deb
yay
or
and Zorro.
and Zorro. And I don't know where my cat is. Oh, he's sleeping on the gas fireplace because it kicks on
Smart
every
cat.
once in a while. And so it's nice and toasty for him. I love
I
it.
I have to tell you, we had a funny discussion with my students around our big conference table while we were working the clinic at the Riverside Free Clinic this week, and they were like, "What is sleet? What does sleet mean? What is
Oh,
a whiteout? What does
oh,
all that mean?"
oh,
And oh yeah, because we have one person who lives in the mountains, but she wasn't there, and everybody else is a desert dweller. And so we talked about that and Little House on the Prairie and tying the rope to the
yes,
barn so Pa didn't go wandering off in the whiteout,
yes, that's
and
right.
how dangerous driving conditions can be. And I said, and I concluded with, and this is why we live in Southern California, because we drive to Palm Springs, we get on the tramway, we go up 10,000 feet, we play in the snow, we have a hot meal, we dry off, and we come back down to the desert where we belong.
You know, I cannot tell you how many times I had a couple rules for myself when I first started driving so that I didn't panic. And one is if you really don't know where you're going because you're lost, or it's a White House, it's a
Whiteout.
white out, follow the car in front of you. And I can't tell you how many times I did that until I saw landmarks or I got my bearings because whiteouts are, you
Oh, they're
shouldn't even
scary.
drive in them. They're horrible. It's like a sandstorm. Do you ever have
Oh,
sandstorm?
we get those too. Yes, we do. And in fact, I drove up to Oregon one Christmas when I was young, and I was playing I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. There was Anne Murray just cooing about, and I came around Mount Shasta on I
Oh,
5
yeah. Yeah.
and drove straight into a blizzard. Like it wasn't there, and then it was. And I was in a little Honda Civic Fastback, like low to the ground. So
Yeah.
I immediately pulled to the right, no stomping on brakes. I found a grocery truck, an 18 wheeler,
Yeah.
and I got behind him. I don't think he was happy about it, but I got behind him and we just coasted our way down into Ashland together
That's
because
right. That's
I wasn't
exactly
going to
what
be
you
able to find
do.
my way there, and he cleared the road for me.
Mm. You know, sleet has its, I mean, it's like ices up the minute it hits your windshield.
Right.
And so you can barely hear anything outside because you got your blowers on high
Hmm.
and the heat on high. And it's crazy. It is. And so as I've gotten older, I go, nothing's that important.
I can just stay in. Right. So that being
Um,
said, everyone's got weather this week, and iguanas are
yes.
falling from the sky in Florida because it's cold, and all the things going on. And welcome to Friday, everyone. We got here.
We're here. Uh, it's been just a really interesting week. Of course, the Northern Hemisphere, and mostly, I mean, Colorado and stuff saw things a little bit in Oregon, but it
All
was,
the high desert in Southern California
oh
got
yeah,
the northern.
the
We were just
Aurora
too far
Borealis.
south. Yeah.
And I put something on my Facebook page, and it's sort of like a good death. A good
Yes.
death, you're just all connected for a moment. A
It's that
really good
kumbaya moment.
eulogy, you just connected, not politically, but just for the same purpose.
Right.
And that amongst a lot of things, to feel that connectedness, feel your own smallness while
Right.
these colors were incorporating the whole sky. It's
That
almost like a
red
space
color that I kept
alien.
seeing is Amazing.
I know.
We
And
saw pink
then,
and green in Alaska. We didn't see red.
yeah, we saw red, we saw pink, because it was sort of changing, and green, and I didn't touch up anything
Right. It's
at
incredible.
all. And then in some of them, you saw angels, like it
Mhm,
looked like angels. Excuse me. And
mhm. It was that shared moment, wasn't it?
it's a
Yeah.
shared moment. Something else this week. I hadn't done one for a while, but just my generalized, um, what do you call them? I tailor
Mm,
them for my audience. I called it Humor, Grace, and Grief, just like our show.
mhm.
And that's what I talked about, laughter and humor, tears of grief, tears of from laughter. And I just sort of rolled it all into one. And, I told some very raw stories, and it would shift over to laughter, and then it would shift to a raw story. And I had people, probably the median age was 80 something.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Did they
And
share some of their stories?
no, there's always, when you only have an hour,
Oh, okay. Not
uh,
enough time, but maybe a
not enough
coffee hour or
time.
something afterward or something.
But
Yeah.
something I learned and I think I've talked about it before, in World Laughter Tour, we have what's called, oh my gosh, good hearted living. And good hearted living goes with each of the days of the week.
Mhm.
So, anyway, Wednesdays are for gratitude, and I was presenting on Wednesday. So, I did go around the room and ask, "What are you grateful for?" And inevitably, it was family, friends, and I'm above ground.
That'll
Seriously,
do it. Mm.
I woke up today.
Mhm.
And then some of you might know, I have a book as well as a meditation that was the meditation I wrote first, and then the book came. And they loved the meditation. They were blowing bubbles, and it was really
I
sweet.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, Jill, you'll especially like this. They wanted me back. And
Of
one
course they
woman
did.
says, "Do you speak about loneliness?" And I go, "Not yet, but give me a few months."
Yes, we're good with loneliness. We know how to talk about that.
We
Yes,
are going to
we
be talking
do.
6 hours on
On
loneliness.
loneliness. Yes, we
Yeah.
are. And all the ways to combat it and to incorporate it and to acknowledge it
Hmm.
and to not make it deadly because it
Right.
can be.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. To really keep yourself healthy during that time. And, it's part of the grieving process.
It
So,
absolutely is.
yeah.
That's why we call it
Um,
humor, grace, and grief, because we want people to have some of that, both of those shakes of those elements, because that helps reduce the loneliness factor.
and what I talked about with the grace, if I can continue for just another minute,
Absolutely.
I I talked about the grace comes in accepting what's going on, because much like finger traps, when people are grieving, they want to pull against what they're feeling trapped in, what they're feeling trapped in. And so, what you sort of create tension is, oh, you're using other people's voices. This is taking too long. I'm not grieving right. There's something wrong with me. Why can't I get more energy together? Why don't I feel like going out with anybody? And so there's all these almost should on, and you don't want to should on yourself. It's
Because that's
smell,
shaming.
it's
And it's
shaming.
self-shaming. Yeah.
So the grace is when you relax, it actually, that tension sort of falls apart, and you accept yourself, you forgive yourself, and don't worry about forgiving others right now for their inane comments to you. But
File them
you know,
later to write a book.
yeah, things you shouldn't say. And I use the word should because it does stink when they say it.
It
So
does.
it
The
does.
things people say sting. Yeah, instead do it like Zorro. Right? Just okay, can't change it. I'm gonna take a nap.
That's
I'm gonna
right. Can't
breathe and
change
I'm
it.
gonna relax.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's one section of what we're talking about today. But it was a good talk and a way to put stuff together. Um, Something else I came across in Thanatology news brief, or was it? It might have been Terry O'Neill's. Isn't it O'Neill? Is her last name
Mm-hmm.
Terry? Her newsletter. I'm not sure which, but I felt like it was important to talk about the differences with palliative care and
And hospice.
hospice, and
Yes.
so many people say when you're on hospice, well, now you're giving up and you're just going to die. And they say that about palliative care too.
Because
When,
they're recognizing that there are doctors referring to palliative when someone
yes,
looks leery of hospice. So
right,
now they don't want palliative either. And what all those folks are doing is cutting themselves and their family off from so much good support. And that is the entire reason to have those kinds of services is the support and the caring and the nurturing and the education they provide.
right, right. Um, Jill, since I've been doing a lot of the talking, tell us a little bit more about palliative care first.
So palliative care, the distinction between palliative and hospice is on the one side, palliative gives you the services of hospice, but you can still continue treatment. You can be in chemo, you can be getting your heart meds, you can be seeing all of the people who treat you. You have full access to that. And so but you're getting better symptom management, pain management. You've got education coming, you've got a nurse coming, you've got your prescriptions being delivered, you've got a chaplain most of the time. Some palliative groups are chintzy. You should have a social worker. Some of them are chintzy. Some of them are better than others, and they include things like music therapy and that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
palliative is sort of the all-encompassing holistic while you're getting treatment. And that's different from hospice in that with hospice, you have made the decision that you're done with treatment or treatment is done with you. And it is time to let whatever this process is that has grabbed you and is going to cause your death take its course, but you're going to do it with comfort and support
And
and
dignity.
support for your family and dignity. Mm-hmm.
And I want to just add to that that you actually have a little bit more control about what you want and what you don't want. Right?
Yes, you
You
do.
have
And you've got staff who are skilled because most palliative staff are also hospice staff. So they are highly skilled in symptom management. They think outside
mhm,
the box. If they hear the patient say, well, the nausea meds aren't working, and that's the doctor says that's the only one, those nurses come up with things. I remember there was a paste that some of our nurses made with like 3 different
right,
medications, and
right.
it wasn't something you could get at a pharmacy. And it
Mm-mm.
worked so much better than all of the other things. And I'm not a nurse and I'm not making medical suggestions, but it was like magic. And someone who had been coping with intractable nausea, which everyone knows it, it's like having the dry heaves with the flu for months on end. All of a
Yeah,
sudden, it's peaceful. And they're so afraid for a while because they're afraid it's coming back. But those nurses know what they're doing. And the doctor will acknowledge that the process is happening. So the family is sort of somewhat confronted with this is really happening, but it gives the patient some control and the ability to talk about their death coming.
And as a previous hospice nurse, on contract and those kinds of things, you also, if you don't get along with your nurse, like her personality, or if you're more curmudgeonly and there is a bubbly nurse,
not a good fit.
You don't have to like them. And
right.
You can fire your nurse and say, I need a different nurse. Advocate for yourself. Have a friend, point one out now. Like,
we in fact did fire a nurse when Casper was at the end of life. And the funny part, we both worked for that hospice. We knew every nurse. But this particular nurse, when she presents in someone's home and you're the patient, comes across different than we did it when Linda was alive. She came across differently than she did in the office. And so she dressed in all baubles and beads, and she hot glue gunned her tennis shoes and put lace and stuff on them. And she introduced herself as this is her ministry, and she wanted to share the good news. And I'm like, we have our own faith and it falls along the same lines, but you need to go. Girlfriend, you need to go. We need someone who wears, regular tennis shoes and regular uniform and can tolerate us slipping a few F-bombs here and there and isn't afraid of the dogs. Get out. Right? And we got a different nurse because she was not a good fit.
And people are reticent, even with their dying breath. I don't want to make waves. I don't want to cause trouble. And if I do make
waves, it could cost me pain. That's the underlying message. If I upset my provider, I'm going to hurt, or I'm not going to get care.
Right.
And nobody should feel that way. But it happens in hospitals. It happens in nursing homes, and it happens at home. And nobody should have to deal with that. I spend a lot of time educating the clients I work with about you have a voice. Now, you don't want to be rude, but you have a voice. And your care should be at your standard and should meet your needs emotionally and physically.
Exactly. And you just want to feel some sort of emotional comfort being around the people who are caretaking, the people that are checking up on you, the people that are whatever.
You want a bath aide who gives you who can literally see you naked and not let you realize they're seeing you naked. Right? There's a skill to that a hospice bath aide or a palliative bath aide, they know how to do it, and they do it with dignity and respect and care and nurturing. And by the time they're done, someone who's been like, no, says, oh, I feel so good and my nails are clean and I don't like moisturizer, but I'm moisturized and it feels good. And it's a completely different experience. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what you want. Literally at this time in your life,
right,
although you work toward it the rest of your living life, when you're on your dying life part, then you want to feel comfortable, mind, body, and spirit.
Safe.
Right?
You want to feel safe. Right? My conception when I talk about the very end of life, and you and I have both seen this so many times, when someone is dying, I've seen exactly one person not do this, reaching out, having experiences with people who are on the other side, coming for them, having conversations that none of us can hear, but are very much there for them. And then they just settle back and they do this kind of thing and they're like comfy on the pillow. And to me, it looks like when we were all little and we'd fall asleep on the couch and somehow we got teleported to our beds. And the next thing you know is that you're being tucked in and there's a kiss on the forehead and you're still just as safe and you drift off. To me, that is what the dying process looks like
Mhm.
from the perspective of the one watching it. And that
That's
is
right.
what palliative and hospice provides. I just want to be
Yes, that's
teleported. Mhm.
yeah, that's that's what you want. And for all those that do not have any kind of death and dying issues right now, please ask yourself some of those hard questions. Um, I said last week I went with my friend to a cemetery where they had green burials and different. So he was making decisions between. It's like shopping for a condo, right?
Oh, it
They
is.
showed you this area, and then they're gonna and then he went to a different cemetery where I said, "This is so much more you." I mean, it's not green burial, but history is important to you. You like the history of the ground. And, when they were showing us the green burial, it was like, well, here are some of your neighbors. And
Mhm.
so, literally, talking about not all their personal stuff, but a little bit about them. And they want you to feel good in whatever community you get buried in,
Mhm.
and I just really appreciated that. And then this week, I appreciated, being with people who were in their 80s. That's only 10 plus years older than I, right? And
Mhm.
I look at that community, look at this community. And I told the story about when I would visit another friend of mine in another retirement community, had apartments and stuff. One of the funniest sights was um, this man who drove a scooter loved to carry his, wheel around on his electric scooter with his girlfriend on the handlebars.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just great. I just laugh seeing that. And then I'm looking at the people and they're like acknowledging they know who would do that in their community.
Absolutely. A lot of communities require if you're riding a scooter, you don't have to buy liability insurance in case you run into someone.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
required. Mhm. Yeah,
that's
because
so
there are
cool.
those collisions. Did I tell you about the hospice patient we had who we managed to talk into their insurance for a scooter because he just really needed some socialization, but he was a mechanic. You know where this is going, right?
Oh no.
Yeah, he
And
souped
where
that puppy up, and he was in Auburndale, Florida, which is a little town, and he got that thing up to about 45 miles an hour, and he was taking liquid morphine shots, and oh my, was he, yeah, we had to tuck that speed down a little bit. We did indeed. But he managed to get to the donut shop because all the old men need the donut shop.
oh, of course they do.
It's a donut
Well, the
shop thing.
little
If you
old
drive
ladies
past
need them
any
too.
donut shop in the morning, there are shifts of older men who have their
Yeah,
groups and they come and they go.
that's right. That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, we just found out recently that Stacy's dad's donut shop group, the last one just died. Every last one of them has died in the
Mm.
last 5 years. Two of them, her dad and one died within a couple days of each other. So, but there's
Wow.
another group meeting now. So, yeah. So I put in
I
note in
saw.
the comments from, if you don't know Robert Fulham, he's the one who's known for Everything I Need to Know I Learned in
Learned in
Kindergarten.
kindergarten.
That
Yes,
that little ditty that he wrote, he has a and that's an entire book.
it
He wrote these
is.
little books of just little 2-3 page um posts, basically is what we call them now.
Right.
And his other book was It Was on Fire When I Lay Down on It. And in that he has a description of going with his wife to pick out their gravesite in Seattle in the Queen Anne neighborhood. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
chose a spot under a pine tree overlooking the sound. And the
Wow.
salesperson was like, "You do know, sir, what happens to graves that have tree roots, right?"
Ha.
And he said, "Yeah, I've been a minister a long time. I've done a lot of these things. I do know what happens. We're being cremated. There's room for 2 cylinders to go in here. This is the most expensive real estate I've ever purchased per square
Yes.
inch."
Per square
And
inch. That's
and then
right.
he and his wife went and picnicked there weekly until they died. I love
First
that. I love the having a plan thing. You know that. We like people having plans. And there
I
should be a
do.
plan for your dying. There should be a plan for your afterward, and you should be the one making it.
You know, First I want to say hi to Angela. Thanks for being on,
Angela.
Angela. And you know, I call them our condos, right?
Mhm.
When you're in a cemetery, when you're having a green burial on a plot of land that's huge, that's a
Right.
little different.
It's like a camp out.
That's camping, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
get your
camping.
site. I laugh, like you look at the different sites and the hookups and all these
Right?
things. Yes, or
That is the
if you're
only way I do a
camping,
green burial. I need all the hookups. There cannot just be like dirt. We got to have a fire ring. We got to have all the things. I want people to be able to have s'mores.
I really love when my clients, and in the very beginning, this is, decades ago, in the beginning of nursing, when they would show me pictures, like all they had to do is put their death date and they'd show me their headstone already and all this. And I'm like, wow, this is awkward and interesting. Like I had a whole bunch of feelings and now I just think it's adorable. Here, let me show
Absolutely.
you where I'm going to live in the afterlife.
Right. Let me
Like,
show you. I have 2 of them. Let me show you my condo.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's
Right.
right.
Because
That's
there
right.
needs to be. I go visit that occasionally. I did take flowers for All Souls Day. Yeah.
That's right. That's
Got to do
right.
those things.
Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. Yeah. And if anybody has any questions about uh, uh, hospice, palliative care, and I just need to say, I forget what they're called now when there's like a doctor over the hospital and he gives information. There's a
The
new
medical
name.
director.
No, it's someone else that works in the hospital area, and they go from person to person. You know, they,
Hospitalist.
hospitalists. Thank you.
Yeah.
They, if a hospitalist gives you information, I think you should check with a hospice or palliative care nurse to give you the up to date information because while hospitalists are away, corporate has thought that it is uh, a consistent product, meaning the doctor is the consistent product to go visit people. They don't know everything.
You need to have
And
word of mouth. I have a few hospices here that I will give to people, but I then say, now I want you to also check with your friends, your neighbors, people in
Yes.
whatever groups you're part of, and ask
Right.
which ones they've had good and bad experiences with of late.
Yes.
Because hospices change personalities. Just like
Yes.
hospices, like hospitals do. We have one hospital that used to be well regarded, and now it's like, oh no, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm going down to Palm
Right.
Springs. Yeah, if I
Right.
can't go to Kaiser, I'm going to Eisenhower, because yeah, none of the other
Yeah.
locals are worth going to. So yeah, you got
Yes.
to ask around and be a well-informed consumer, because you want
Mhm.
your end of life or your loved one's end of life to be what
Right.
it should be, to be
Yeah.
dignified and caring and nurturing, and have space for laughter, and have good quality aftercare, not just they bought a package of letters that they send once a month. That's
Uh-huh.
not grief care. So make
No.
sure that you're getting that. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that went by fast, Jill.
It did. It did
Mm.
indeed. And we're coming up pretty quick on having Kristen with us. She's currently in Australia with her daughter, who's
Mhm.
doing a year abroad there. And we've got the day after Thanksgiving show coming up. And we want
No,
everyone.
day after
Yeah, day
Christmas.
after Christmas is jammies. Day after Thanksgiving is going to be, so how were your family events, and how many of you managed to get in
Mhm.
a grief
Yeah.
story or two, or talk about someone who's no longer there? We want to know how you did it. How did you slip it in? And next week we'll
And
give you some ideas as to how to do it.
exactly how
Something like
to,
that.
I had my grief group this week, and they said, and I gave a suggestion on families, and you're free to use this, any of our listeners or people later listening, that in fact, people don't always want to mention the losses that when you show up to their house, or you're showing up to someone who's had some losses. They don't want to mention it because they're afraid it'll upset you. So,
Right.
one way you can say is either thank you for inviting us during this time. It makes the passing of blah, blah, blah a little easier. Or the house where you show up, you can say to your guests, thank you for being here. It makes the passing of XYZ person just a little easier.
Right.
And so you don't have to, so you can initiate talking about something that the other person don't want to talk about.
That's
And at
exactly
first you
right.
can mean that sarcastically, but at the same time, thanking them makes it just a little easier for everyone to be comfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So next week we'll have all the suggestions for how to bring all the stuff into the holidays. And Angela, we hope you bring your coffee cup and join us. I drank my coffee too early this morning. I don't even have one in my hand. It feels kind of empty.
I still have one.
Oh, I'm having an empty hand moment, not empty arms moment. My arms are fully occupied.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a good, safe weekend. Enjoy the whatever winter weather is coming your way. For those of you in the southern regions, we hope you have a really great summer day. And
Mhm.
Angela, we'll see you next week. And Steve and everyone else. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye, everyone.